She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gazpacho.
Important to take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that. Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the boys. Boys, we have got some matchups this week. Holy shit, this is probably the best week of matchups we have had in a long time, and certainly some consequential ones for hardware here this season. We'll talk about the Champions League here. Bayern and PSG go through. Watch a bit of the PSG game. Mbappe is so fucking good. We'll get into that. We got a couple loser go home games again. Nick loves using that term here to describe games. Here we
I don't
go.
think I wrote that, G.
Well, then Mike, you are stealing from Nick's lingo here.
I brought original content.
Mike learned from the best. We'll say it that. We'll make it.
I think that's
flattering
just a
for you,
leftover from last week, but I'll take credit. Sure.
Well, we got a little toffee talk. We got a little U.S. men's national team corner, and then what everybody really listens to this for is producer P's question at the end. Boys, new Champions League format. Today we had two games. It was PSG beat Real Sociedad, and Bayern come back to beat Lazio. If Bayern does not come back to beat Lazio, a Lazio team that just self-imploded versus AC Milan and is not looking like they'll get back into the Champions League, Tuchel's not making the ride back to Munich, right?
Max.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, it would just be even worse than it already is. That situation is fucked.
Yeah, Tuchel is just not a good coach. I need to check if that game was actually in Munich. Then he may have actually, no matter what, been going back to Munich. But either way, Tuchel would have been unemployed for sure. But gets saved.
One thing
by
before we
Harry
leave
Kane.
that, the funniest thing I heard today was they interviewed Thomas Tuchel after the match, and they didn't even ask him about his team or anything. He kicked a door or something during a halftime speech and broke his toe, and that's what he talked about after this game. So if you don't need any more proof of him being a selfish bastard, there you go.
Thomas Tuchel.
Selfish bastard is strong, but okay.
I don't know how they say it in German. Das selfish bastard, something like that.
I promise you, it's
I
not.
don't think. Yeah, I guarantee that you just saying in a somewhat German accent is not German for it.
No, I think that was,
It's
that
not
was
like
pretty spot on.
strudel, bro.
Before we start saying things that will isolate us from a German audience, why don't we get into the Champions League format, which just got announced. It's definitely an interesting one. Instead of having groups of 4, it is one single group of all 36 teams. Each team plays 8 opponents, 4 at home, 4 away, none the same. The top 8 teams from that will qualify automatically through to the final 16, and then the teams finishing 9th through 24th will enter a playoff round where they play one game, I believe, and then those 8 join the other 8 that automatically qualified, and then it's just regular final 16. Was this at all a necessary change, Nick? I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think the group stage is just a tradition of soccer that I think adds a lot of intrigue. I don't know why you necessarily have this format other than just money-wise. You want to see a bunch of teams playing a bunch of different ones. Is that really the only motive?
Of course, it's definitely a money thing. UEFA, I mean, no surprise there. That's what they're all about. Honestly, I hate it solely because I root for an English club who already has an extremely busy schedule. Adding 2 extra group stage games to that is not going to make it any better. Adding more travel to that, also, by the way, you're now traveling to another city, isn't going to make it any better. But I guarantee every single team, big team in the world, is on board simply for revenue, being able to sell more tickets, being able to advertise these games. So unfortunately, it's where the world is going. We're seeing the biggest World Cup ever here coming up soon. They're just going to try to make it bigger and bigger to get more and more money. I disagree with it, but I can either get on board or I can cry in a ditch. So regardless, we'll see Arsenal in that top 8. So won't have to play in any of those playoffs. Whatever.
Mike, if you're
Top
a
eight.
mid Champions League type squad where you're maybe getting through the group stage, maybe not in the current format, do you think this helps you out or do you think this hurts you where you could get your 8 games against just really good teams and get somewhat of a group of death without even being in a group of death? Or you could also
I
just get easier games.
I think it's going to generally help the teams because how it's set up is those 8 games you play in the group stage. It's 2 teams from 4 pots, and those pots are going to be decided by strength of the team, is what I understand. So you're going to get at least some favorable games out of that, and you won't see a situation like we see currently where you have a straight up group of death, and your chances are really slim to none. So I think it's appealing for those mid-level teams, even some of the lower-level teams. It's a big change. I feel a couple ways about it, but it is interesting. I like to see teams face up against each other that we don't see all the time, and we're going to see a lot more of that, especially in the group stage. And we'll see how it goes. I know they're doing the changes for Europa League and Conference League as well, so we won't see any Champions League teams drop into those competitions the way it's working currently. It's an interesting one to watch.
Is this just the way to get Ronaldo back in the Champions League? Is that what they're doing? Just adding fucking Saudi teams now? That's got to be the deal, right? They're going to announce it soon. Like,
realistically, that is how just all of sports is going. Everything, Saudi just has their little fingers on just about every sport now, and just got investigated, I believe, for potentially rigging the Saudi F1 race. So we'll see. They have enough money to get away with just about anything, and I don't think that soccer officials are necessarily the most morally upstanding people to say, no, we're gonna keep tradition, and we're not gonna have them in.
No.
Once again, ever since my car got stolen, we are a pro Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman podcast. So respect to you and your people.
Yes, this is all.
I'm impressed that you knew that
great.
guy's name.
Yes, this is a Saudi Pro League podcast.
How would he not know? How would he not
Shalom.
know such a great leader's name like that, Palmer? Goodness. Anyways,
You're right.
if people are looking for sponsorships for the podcast, just saying. Anyways, we move. Nick, another piece of news regarding you is Arsenal. Another 6-0 victory. And I feel like what I got from this is, damn, that West Ham victory looks even more impressive because 6-0 versus Sheffield, it was like, yeah, damn, this is like somewhat bullying. But knowing that they did that same thing against a West Ham side that is significantly better, it's like, shit, this Arsenal team is just, they're on a different level right now, Nick. Like, the amount of goals they're scoring is more than teams are scoring in the entire season.
Yeah, for sure. Shalom. Well, you know it's Jewish, right? We are on a rich vein of form. I said it last week. Nothing that happened today is going to change my mind about Arsenal. And I still stand by that. Nothing changes my mind about Arsenal. We're in incredible form. We're a really good side. I think we're the best team in the Premier League. Whether or not we end up winning the league, I think that comes down to mentality and honestly just how the ball bounces in certain games. One of them coming up that we'll talk about in a second. But I mean, it was 1-0 and within 4 minutes. It was 3-0 within 15, 4-0 at 24. I mean, this game was over quick. So incredible performances from all the boys. Once again, great to see Kai truly playing well. Declan Rice, incredible and further pushed up with Jorginho holding. Odegaard, beautiful. Jesus almost scored. Back in the fold now. Thomas Partey got some minutes. Martinelli, Saka, everyone is playing extremely well. Ben White with probably the best goal of them all. So, I mean, if Ben White is scoring worldies for you to make it 6-0, There's just not much wrong at the moment. So long may it continue, and let's see if other results go our way this weekend.
Other results could go your way. Even with all these crazy amount of goals that you guys have scored, you guys have gone from third place to third place. So it's a tough year to be Arsenal and scoring these many goals and getting this many wins and still be stuck in third place. But that is what this title race is. But that brings us to our featured game this week. It is none other than the two top teams in the league. It is Man City. It is Liverpool. Nick, this is the opportunity that if you're Arsenal, your 6-0 wins are amazing, but this could be even more amazing because this gives you the opportunity to leap them in the table. And as your two biggest rivals for that title facing off against each other, somebody's going to get hurt here, or they might both get hurt.
Yeah.
What are you expecting to see from this one? I think Liverpool are at a big disadvantage with just the health of their squad, but it's a title bout, top 6 teams, and these two teams always come up with some good games.
These two teams always come up with some good games. Man City versus Arsenal earlier was a tactical masterclass. These are two teams, because they play very similarly. These are two teams who have very distinct styles, who stick to their styles and have made for some entertaining games. Don't look now, boys. But draw this weekend, Arsenal win versus the Bees. All of a sudden, we're top of the table, gentlemen. So I am as excited as could be. I think regardless, we're gonna be able to move up at least one spot. This game is a clash of heavyweight favorites, and I mean, it's two extremely talented teams. I don't know how you can pick against Man City at the moment. You said it yourself, man. Liverpool is busted. They are injured to hell. A lot of key players missing, including their main man up front and their main man in goal. So Salah and Alisson obviously going to miss out on this clash. Um, can Van Dijk do it himself? I really don't think so. Darwin Nunez has been doing well, but that back four is intimidating and prominent for Man City, and Rodri shielding is no joke either. So we will see. There is always entertainment here. I believe it's at Anfield. I could be wrong. I believe Liverpool is playing host. So we will see. Yep, at Anfield. We will see if that vaunted Anfield crowd shows up. There's been some debate about that in the past, especially for me. But, I'm expecting just a clash. I'm expecting some great football to be played. And I am praying to the gods above for a tie. So that will be my prediction. I'm going to go Man City 1. So let's go Man City 2, Liverpool 2.
All right, goals galore there. I do think that when you're saying 2-2, that's not too far off from what it might be with Liverpool and Man City. I don't think either of them are going to be pulling their punches. They're going to be attacking.
No shot.
And that might help out both sides with getting either side on the attack and then countering as both these teams do so well. Obviously, Liverpool are going to be hoping for some people to return from injury for such a big clash here. But Mike, that's not the only huge swing game that we have this week. We have another one that has Champions League implications and a matchup that we've talked about in their own way for weeks and weeks now. It's Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur facing off against each other here. And this game, I feel like, decides who might get that final Champions League spot. I mean, we're talking about the new Champions League format and how exciting it may be. If these teams want to be a part of it, a huge part of that is winning this game right here. It is a 6-point swing. What do you think comes out of this game? Tottenham reaching for that spot? Aston Villa trying to defend it, hang on to it? Who do you think comes out on top?
This is a tough one to call. We drew some parallels between these two teams on our last episode, talked about how loose they can be, how many goals they can give up, and their distinctive styles of play with the respective managers. So it's a tough one. I like Tottenham's form currently. I think they're finding some goals, and having some of these key guys back has been huge. Madison's looked pretty good in the midfield. His output hasn't been crazy, but he's definitely more of a controlling factor than the other guys offered earlier this season. So that's a big addition. And Aston Villa should be defensively solid this game. Paul Torres had a minor injury, but he's scheduled to be back. That's a huge addition to the center back. He's better than any of their options, and paired with Ezri Konsa, most likely, that's a great back line. I think there's going to be goals on both sides. That's what I see. Tottenham just gets so exposed on the wings, and Aston Villa has the luxury of having two great attacking fullbacks with Matty Cash on one side, Digne on the other, or Moreno, depending on who starts. So there's going to be chances there. Ollie Watkins is in fantastic form. He scored 2 goals on the weekend against Luton. He's in great form. There are shouts for him to call up in a starting spot in the national team. So I could see him definitely getting a goal. And on the other side, when you have a guy like Son, when you have Madison, and when you have Timo Werner, there could be goals going in there as well. This is going to be a barn burner. I'm taking a 3-2 scoreline in favor of Aston Villa. I think this is a game that Tottenham might go up and then just not be able to hold on to.
Yep.
Flags. 2 informed strikers in Watkins and Richarlison. If you had your pick, who would you take?
I'm taking Ollie Watkins. I think he's just been more of a consistent for a longer time. But Mike, I think if that result holds of what you're saying, a 3-2 win for Aston Villa, does that totally sink Tottenham's chances at Champions League unless Aston Villa just absolutely shit the bed?
It doesn't sink them because we still have to keep in mind the potential 5th spot. But in terms of catching Aston Villa or passing Aston Villa, it's very damning. And Nick, thanks for bringing up Richarlison. He's been out for a few games. There's a good chance he's back as well. And I'd expect him to start up top if he's healthy and available. So another shithouser to get a goal. Him and Timo. That's electric.
Him and Timo are a shithouser's dream up top. This game certainly has a lot of implications for that Champions League spot. We'll see what happens. Mike, I think you touched on a huge point that this game is not going to be won through the center of the field. Both sides have great midfielders, great strikers. But what the biggest thing is going to be, those outside backs on both sides love to get up the field. The wingers love to get into the attack very aggressively. It's going to come down to, I think, getting exposed on those outside backs for one of these teams, and it's going to lead to a goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. With these 2 teams, it could be 8 goals. They are both aggressive teams in the attack, so I'd be down for a little 4-4 draw here. Just get all the action out there. But Nick, we move to Arsenal and their big opportunity this weekend to potentially take the lead of the table. Imagine waking up on Sunday morning knowing that Arsenal are at the top of the Premier League table. Nick, they face off versus Brentford here. Brentford has not been in great form. They did just get a draw versus Chelsea. Arsenal, on the other hand, are on the form of their life. I mean, the amount of goals they are scoring is the reason why, with a win here and a draw between Liverpool and City, they would be on top, because that goal differential in the past 5 games has just skyrocketed up and up and up. That goal differential is going to the moon. Nick, in this game, is this potentially a trap game? Arsenal looking at all their great form, feeling super confident, and knowing that Liverpool and Man City are playing each other, is this going to be overlooked, do you think, by the team, or are they going to keep steamrolling ahead?
No, it won't be overlooked. My answer last year would have also been no, but I would have said that more hopefully than I do this year. I say it confidently this year. I think after experiencing what they did last year, this is a much more mature side. A lot of the same pieces coming back, young pieces too, who went through their first title fight last year and came up bitterly disappointed. So I think after our game actually yesterday, Arteta said, they asked Arteta, they said, does this run of games send a message to Man City and Liverpool? And he said, no, like extremely quick, very flat. He said, no, we're focused on our business. We'll handle what we can handle. And I think that's the mentality the entire team has right now. I mean, like you said it yourself, this is the best run of form we have been in. I was 4 years old during the Invincible season. So this is the best run of form I've ever seen from this Arsenal team. And I mean, at just the amount of confidence and also just like aura coming from the team at the moment, it is something else. So I am expecting a victory here. I don't see why we can't get it. Hopefully, Evan Toney, I'm sure he's going to want to do his best against maybe his future club, but hopefully he lays a stinker in this one because he really is the only guy I think who can hurt us in any sort of way. I don't know. I feel good. I feel really good. I think we're gonna get 3 points. I love that this game is on Saturday and the Liverpool City game is on Sunday. Let's put the pressure on them. Fuck this us having the pressure thing. And let's get it done, boys. That the time is now. If not now, then when? Because these opportunities do not come around all the time. I forgot to mention also in the City game, by the way. City's only wins against top 6 teams this year have been the 2 wins against Man U, including 2 draws versus Chelsea. Like that is interesting. I don't know. Things are starting to feel right for me. It feels like a trap, but things are starting to feel right. We're in the greatest run of form. I don't want to judge us based solely on that, but I mean this team is looking incredible. I feel confident about this weekend, and I'm feeling better by the second about the title.
Yep. And regardless of the result, Liverpool, Man City, whether it be a win, draw for either side, if Arsenal take care of business versus Brentford, they are moving up at least 1 spot in the table, and that gets them just ever closer to that potential title. And obviously, with games coming up against each other, these big 3 teams here at the top of the table are going to have their opportunities. It is fully in their hands. There's not going to be something that's outside of their destiny, outside of their control. Big game here, though, for Arsenal. First, Brentford, you wouldn't imagine, but just the implications from it are absolutely astronomical. Mike, Chelsea. Speaking of Brentford, just drew against them this week. Chelsea, this is very much so a prove-it game. Newcastle, I think, showed their quality a bit against Wolves, proved that they still are a formidable squad. Chelsea have not really proved much about themselves, but Newcastle are not necessarily in the greatest form. Is this a game that Chelsea can say, hey, we are a team to be somewhat feared at least? I mean, this would get them 1 point behind Newcastle with a win. But if they lose here, I mean, they're sitting in 11th, maybe even lower in 12th. It'd be a tough season for Chelsea to go further down the table than they were last year.
Yeah, dude. London is red. London is white. London is certainly not blue at the moment. But Chelsea's blue. I mean, they've got to be sad about their season and the results they've got. They made Brentford look.
That was some fucking poetry, bro.
Good one.
Continue on.
Nice.
Yeah, Chelsea managed to make Brentford look like a pretty capable team, and allowed them to score 2 quality goals and have quite a few attacks. They're so loose. They don't have a real identity. Nick posed a question on our little board here. What Chelsea will come out? What's their best style of play? I think it's a high press, but I really am not convinced because they have so much lack of character in the midfield. They don't have a true defensive midfield. They all just kind of run around. Moises Caicedo is a loose cannon who could get a yellow card, red card at any moment, or could produce a piece of class. You just really don't know what you're going to get. The back line changes a lot depending on who's in there. If Thiago Silva's playing, they're kind of have to play a structure of a 4-back because he cannot run in that 3-back system. Alternatively, if they run with a 3-back, it allows their fullbacks to get much more into the attack, which is good because they have quality players there with Chilwell and Gusto, Reece James when he's available. So the identity, I still don't think they know what it is. I'm not sure if Pochettino knows what it is. They have not shown that. Newcastle is going to be my favorite going into this game. Their form's been sloppy. They got an ass beating by Arsenal, but they looked like a quality team against Wolves. And I don't think Chelsea is better or maybe not even on par with Wolves at the moment. So I'll have to give it to Newcastle. I think they're going to be able to prevent Chelsea from creating all that much. And I think they'll be able to score at least 1 or 2 goals just with how sloppy Chelsea is in the transition on the counter. Isak's got a lot of pace. Gordon's got a lot of pace, and they'll be able to get one in.
Yep. And Mike, I think you touched on it, that you don't know what Chelsea's going to show up. And I think the biggest question they have to ask themselves is who is going to be that guy for this Chelsea squad? As much as we shit on Manchester United, when Rasmus Højlund was in his streak of form, they looked a better side because they were finishing chances. Yes, they're not looking the Manchester United you would expect, but they were finishing chances and getting results that were looking good. Chelsea has not really had that this season. I don't think they've had anyone step up to have any type of purple patch to kind of steer away from the ugliness of how they've played at times. But Nick, Newcastle...
1 second here. I would argue that Cole
Yeah.
Palmer had quite a purple patch there, especially when he came in. It's a big impact. Sure, a lot of those goals are set piece or penalties, but he's been their standout player from an attacking sense for sure. And I think he is a quality player in the attack. It's just he's not going to get the clearest chances in the position he plays.
Yeah, I just don't know if Cole Palmer... I mean, he was their penalty taker, and he finished off some regular just goals, but I don't think he was necessarily the huge impact that made me think, okay, Chelsea is going on a run of form because of this guy, and he can overcome. But yes, he has had certainly a better season than I had thought, and certainly a decent season for Chelsea so far. Nick, for the Newcastle side of this, last 2 games for them, they've also been a little inconsistent. It was a 3-0 win versus a decent Wolves side, and then a 4-1 loss versus Arsenal. So Newcastle, would you say they have the more talented squad here? Obviously, Chelsea are the billionaire boys, but is that talent equivalent to the money they've spent?
I don't know, bro. That's tough, right? Because obviously Chelsea has had some inflated transfer values, so it's $1 billion purchase squad, but that's not the value of their squad. I think they might, and I think it's because I can't think of a single Chelsea player that I would want on the Arsenal team, and I could think of maybe 1 or 2 that I would want. And I'm just talking about like in the team, not even in the starting 11. Like I don't want any of those fuckers. I can think of a couple from Newcastle. I think Isak's a difference maker. I think Gamarish, at his best, when he's not a pussy hole, is a difference maker. I really like Sven Botman. I don't know. I think they might be more talented. I think you have to like Newcastle's chances. 3-0 win, 4-1 loss are the most recent results. But when you consider the 4-1 losses to an on-fire Gunners team, maybe that helps explain some of that. I think I agree with Trace that this feels like Newcastle's weekend. Really quickly, Palmer, if you could please pull up the tweet that I just said, because I don't know if it's real. It's got to be. I tried to check the source thoroughly. But this tweet, gentlemen, I want to get your live reactions on the pod. A surprise name on Bowley's list is NBA Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr. Bowley is hoping for a Ted Lasso effect per NBC. I checked out the
That is
CM Chris
definitely
guy.
not true.
Dude, he seemed
That is
kind of
not
okay.
true.
Come on,
You fall victim to
look at
Twitter
him.
trolls
Look at this guy.
far too much.
Go. Award-winning football reporter. Keep scrolling
Oh my
down. Joined
God.
August 2016. Tons of followers. I don't know, man. He's wouldn't it be the best thing in the world? I'm gonna do some research and we could talk about it Sunday. But for a second, can we just consider the possibility? Could Steve Kerr manage this team better than what is currently happening?
Dude,
I want
if we
you to
didn't
know that it
need
is
any more
absolutely
reason
crazy that you believe that was a real tweet.
Come on, bro. Dream with me for a second.
Ted Lasso
Dream with
effect would be
me.
nuts.
Mike, this is the exact reason why me and you have to console him on the Saka shit talk from trolls on Twitter that he thinks is the actual common thoughts.
Dude, come on.
He's like a dad
Obviously,
that goes
this
on
is-
Twitter
this
and doesn't
has to be
realize
fake.
people are trolling him.
Oh, it's absolutely. And Nick is falling for anything that's out there that's sort of believable. But it is sort of believable because it has Todd Bowley mentioned in there. And we know what he's done. We know the decisions he makes. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if he's in a board meeting and he's like, Roberto De Zerbi, I never heard of him. What about Steve Kerr? He was pretty successful. So,
Bro,
yeah,
what
dude.
about Bill Belichick? He's unemployed right now.
Why not both?
Dude,
Bring
come
it
on.
both.
I know it's fake, but let's just dream for a moment. Because how great would it be? Like, come on.
For the entertainment value of seeing UK media go absolutely fucking crazy over the stupidity of it, it would make my year. Every week seeing Steve Kerr trot out there, not knowing jack shit about what's going on, be like, what the fuck's a VAR? What the fuck's an offside?
He brings like Bob Bradley to be his assistant judge.
Yeah,
Jesus
that'd be
Christ,
something.
man.
That'd
I'd
be
like
beautiful.
to think Steve
Sorry,
Kerr
boys.
is smarter than taking that job, but if he did it, man, that would be peak media coverage
That's
right there.
just something that came through my timeline that I needed y'all to see. We can continue.
Thank you for that.
All right, we take a break from this extremely legitimate reporting that Nick has shown us to
Call me
move
Shefty.
to Shefty out here, breaking the news, the Woj bombs, anything you want to call it.
Fabrizio.
All right, Mike,
Here we go.
we get into toffee talk here, and boy, do we have a matchup. It is our two favorite teams to talk about, our Everton Toffees and the Manchester United Red Devils. Now, Everton are not as desperate as they may have been 2 weeks ago before the appeal came through that got us our points back, some of our points back. Am I crazy to think that start Beto up top and we fucking shit on this team? We got this. I'm just kidding about the Beto part, but I do like solidly have some hope that Everton, we've kind of let some shit slip and missed out on some results recently versus Brighton and versus West Ham, but damn, I feel like this is. I don't think Manchester United has been impressive. I think this is a shot. Is this not a good shot for Everton to get some points on the board?
Dude, yeah. I'll say it. I want a result here. I think we can get a result here. It seems possible. Like, how bad are Manchester United going forward right now? No Hoyland, excuse me, not Holland. Similar guy, I guess.
No Holland either.
No Holland either. Maybe they could borrow him. I don't know. They don't look like they're gonna score goals, dude. You cannot count on Marcus Rashford to do anything unless he has a moment of brilliance again, which have been just few and far between this season. So I like our chances. I think defensively, we're going to hold them pretty well. And if we can just get lucky on a counter, because it's never going to be a beautiful goal from us, we could see one go in. I think Dom needs to start just in the off occasion that we get a penalty, because we saw what happened last week. He's got to be out there. Also, he's just an attractive man. He's better for the TV, better for the coverage.
What?
Why is that the analysis of needing him? He's just a better player, too, you could say.
Well, I mean, look at him. Let's be honest here. We need all the money we can get. We want to escape another profitability and sustainability breach. So we'll take the money. Going back to the game, yeah, I like our chances here. I think we could even run with them in the midfield with how weak they are currently. And if we let one in, it better be a banger, because I don't want to see some bullshit go in. I don't want to see a Scott McTominay scrapper, and I don't want to see a Harry Maguire header. So sign me up for a 0-0. Sign me up for a 1-0 in favor of Everton. That's what I want.
Mike, I was just about to say, I feel like this could be a 0-0 matchup that is extremely exciting just for us to watch Manchester United take a bunch of pot shots because they cannot break down a low block at all, and that's all Everton's going to be doing.
Exactly.
I think Manchester United are decent on counterattacks, and that's how they get their goals because teams feel confident enough to go at them. That's not Everton, baby. We are sitting back no matter what, and we are just going to let you attack, and they are not going to, unless there's a Garnacho or Marcus Rashford just banger, get an easy
Boys,
tap. You'd hope.
I am sorry to tell you how this game is going to go down, but I already know what it's going to be. There is going to be an Everton goal for 1-0, and Scotty McTominay is going to get a late brace to take him. I'm sorry, bro.
Don't break my heart.
I see it so clear right now that I don't see any other way this goes. Like 2-1 Man U. Sorry, Tom.
All right. Well, I'm hoping to see Scott McTominay in the starting lineup because if that's the case, no chance. If he's a super sub, I might turn off the TV because it feels like a premonition. And if it happens, I am buying a plane ticket to California. I'll leave the rest unsaid.
Scott McTominay is getting subbed on in the 80th minute. It's over. We have lost the game.
I see it happening.
We will hope that everything gets some points here. We'll run through the rest of the matchups here, though. We have Wolves versus Fulham, and this is a sneaky prove-it game for both sides. I think if Wolves are the team that they say they are and want to be at that top half of the table, this is a must-win here. You had a rough loss versus Newcastle. Win this game.
Glass cannon team, bro. I think we lose this. Not gonna lie.
They are even on points with Wolves if they win this one. Fulham's sneaky, decent season here for them after some rough starting form. Then we have Brighton versus Forest. Forest, fuck you. Start Gio Reyna or else you are dead to me.
Analysis.
I don't understand why you would not at this point. You have nothing to lose because you are shit without him. Maybe you're shit with him. But at least you'll have started him, and then I'll be happy. Let's go, Brighton. Unless Gio starts, then
let's go
up the Forest. We have West Ham versus Burnley. God, it feels like Burnley and Sheffield should just be relegated at this point. There is zero storyline with them. Like these games, this is a hard fucking sell. If you're selling tickets to this one, they start giving them away with a Happy Meal at McDonald's. I don't know what to tell you. This nothing is inspiring about either Burnley or Sheffield United. We have Palace versus Luton. A sneaky shit but entertaining matchup here. Neither side at all in the most amazing form or playing the greatest football. But Luton Town desperate. Crystal Palace trying to get some type of form back before they find themselves in some more trouble. Could be a sneaky game. Could be a bad game for Everton fans as Luton Town, I think, might be able to pull something out here versus Crystal Palace, but I'll believe in my boy Chris Richards to pull one out for them. He's found his goal-scoring ways, and I think he continues that this weekend. Clip this for later. Then finally, to close it out, we have the Toilet Bowl. It is Bournemouth versus Sheffield. You could say Bournemouth is going to be a very exciting team in this one, most likely, because Sheffield are a League One side at this point.
Jesus Christ.
72% for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Bournemouth in this game, their fans at the end of it
Sheffield.
are going to be thinking they are fucking Manchester City. They are going to be saying, "Holy shit, we have potential. We next year is our year." But it really is just Sheffield. If you're a fan of Sheffield, I sincerely apologize. This is so tough. A negative 50 goal differential, and the season is not done yet, is just really despicable. That is really tough. I mean, the next closest is Burnley, who has had an awful season, and they are negative 35. That is a good amount of goals away. If you're a Sheffield United fan and you're still showing support, you are a good man. But that does it for our games this weekend. We get into the U.S. men's national team corner. It will be a quick one. Haji Wright, our boy, our World Cup scoring striker, got an assist, continues his good form for Coventry this year. Makes a good shout for a depth piece in Copa or Nations League here. We'll see where he could end up. He's been playing a lot of wing, which I think is where he might make his roster spot. And then Greg Berhalter, as he does another interview with the press, this time with The Athletic, and says more stuff that can piss people off on Twitter. His first quote on Gio Reyna was that he's a great player for the final pass. Goes on to say, we have to see what he can do workload-wise. And he hasn't been playing, and we also see other options as well. So essentially saying, Gio Reyna is not going to be getting that many minutes for Nations League.
He ain't gonna be in there.
Or
He ain't gonna be.
he is not going to be most likely starting or getting extended minutes. So tough for Gio Reyna. Us Gio Reyna believers are getting just doused with negative news here.
I bet Serginho Dest will be in the squad. Greg's only willing to hold grudges with certain players.
Dude, he might.
Serginho Dest has been like the outside back of the season in the Eredivisie, so
yeah.
I am not saying that this will happen or even that it is likely, but just right now, as of March 5th, let's start preparing ourselves for the possibility that Gio might just not be at the cup. Let's just start toying around with that idea. Let's just start toying around with that. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but let's not get too upset later when Greg does Greg things.
He will be on the roster 100%. There's no shot that Greg Berhalter, with all the eyes on that relationship, can do something that wild that would bring so much more headlines back to it. And bring a lot more headlines about how he handled that situation back in the day with his wife, which I'm sure he does not want continually brought up again and again. So I think he keeps it at a
nice job,
calm level. Calm level there. But Greg Berhalter also touched on Tyler Adams, who we talked about returning from injury. And he did say that Copa America is a lot more realistic for a return than Nations League. He's been training, and anything can happen, but he does not believe that it's going to be a return for Nations League. I think that was somewhat obvious just because he has just started training. It's about 3 weeks out, so you wouldn't expect him to have that quick of a game speed recovery, but maybe thought he would be on the roster for a few limited minutes. Seems like that's a little unlikely.
I hope not. Like, let's not rush him back. Really slow integration the rest of the year, and hopefully he's full fitness by Copa America. It would be really tragic if he's brought back and his like first matches in the Nations League and he's just not quite ready. So these matches don't matter aside from building a little team chemistry. So ease him into it. Well,
yeah, I think realistically, as much as we've talked about depth, if we cannot get it done without Tyler Adams, with the amount of depth that we've been arguing about on this podcast, that would be wild. Also, I want to shout out Vinny something on our YouTube who commented, women's coach isn't in yet. That's a good fact check. I didn't know that. I appreciate you keeping me honest on that one. And I did know
Vinny.
Jay Berhalter is not the COO anymore. He was, though, at the time of Greg Berhalter's hire, and that's what I was mentioning. But I appreciate you triple dotting that for me there. Positive on the first shout out. The second one, yeah, I was speaking retroactively, but enough of shitting on our commenters.
Vinny's in the lead.
We do love you.
Look at him.
Vinny had to watch that whole fucking clip, bro. Shout out Vinny.
Hell yeah. Shout out Vinny.
Vinny knows his shit. But so do I, Vinny, so except about the women's coach. You did correct me on that one. Anyways, you were correct. Thank you for that one. Locks of the week we move into. We start with a bit of a score update. And Palmer, could you maybe remind us of who got a 2-pointer this weekend? Who got the score and the result right?
I try not to say.
Or did you hit
a hard time?
He hit it, dude.
It was a Villa Luton game that I predicted a 3-2 result. Villa coming out for me, getting that 3-2. That is I'm proud of that one. That's probably my proudest predictions so far. Both Mike and Nick get another point on the board as well with Liverpool with the win. That one was dicey. And Mike with no limb was gone out on with a 3-0 victory for Man City versus Man U. He was a Marcus Rashford banger away from a 2-pointer, but nonetheless, he does get a point. Are those updated scores there, Palmer? Are you
Those are
updating
updated.
them now?
Yes.
All right, so we have Nico and Mike tied at 13. I get a little extra point ahead at 16 off of that double. Thank you, Luton. Thank you, Aston Villa. And we go into our picks for this week. Nick, what do you got? What are you getting for the charge down here?
All eyes on the two teams up top. Let's go Man City 2, Liverpool 2. I've hit one tie. Let's hit another.
Love it.
This man loves a lock on a draw. It's interesting method, but I fuck with it. My lock of the week, I'm going for Arsenal. 3 goals, continuing their scoring form. But I think that maybe Ivan Toney gets a little cheeky audition goal for Brentford. 1 goal for Brentford, 3-1 here. We'll see if the Bees, I guess, buzz a little. But ultimately, their hive gets taken down. Mike,
Okay.
I see that you have gone another game with Manchester United here. What is the result you're looking at?
Yeah, riding with the toffs, dude. We'll take Everton 0, Man U 0. Let's go with
That
the
is
draw.
disgusting.
It
That is a
is disgusting.
disgusting loss. A 0-0 draw loss.
Hammer the under. Hammer the under. Flags, I'm surprised you're not riding with Villa again. They've been so good to you the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Tottenham are a cocaine football team that I don't want to bet against. I don't want to bet for. They are like what the Detroit Lions were 2 years ago in terms of football, where they look good. They end up losing in the fourth quarter every game.
Yeah,
But
I would just like to
Tottenham's
point
cocaine
out.
football, I think Everton and Man U are a strong indica because this game is going to lull you to sleep.
they are
Nothing
Xanax
exciting
football.
about this one.
That's just
I
Pepto-Bismol.
I would like to point out that Mike said I'm riding with the Toffees and then proceeded to pick 0-0 for the scoreline.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is
riding with
that
the
is.
riding.
Hey, that's a win. That's a win for us, man.
Draw.
That's riding, bro.
That was fire. That was better than the
Season
Shalom.
we have had. If there's any point, it works out. Palmer, I leave it to you to potentially either be the cancellation of this podcast or enlighten our beautiful listeners with a question that is only slightly offensive. Go right on ahead there, Palmer.
All right, boys.
right,
So
boys.
I remember back when I still don't know anything about soccer, but all of the hype growing up was that we were in this golden age where we were watching the 2 greatest of all time players in their prime as we were coming up, right? Now, the argument was obviously always Ronaldo versus Messi. I'll bring up this picture. Fuck it. Messi v Ronaldo. That's much smaller than I expected it to be.
Smallest picture.
The worst picture. That is the
It's
worst
just like the
picture.
first one that came up.
Dude, did you
But-
make that?
I noticed that I haven't really heard as much of that back and forth ever since last year when Messi finally won that World Cup title. So my question is the GOAT race over now that Messi's finally kind of gotten that ever elusive World Cup win?
It will never be over with the fan bases that these two guys have. But I think if you speak to an objective fan, Messi winning the World Cup and doing everything he's done, how is that not the edge? He's won Copa America, he's won the World Cup, he's won everything else. And he's won the Leagues Cup in MLS. And I think that trophy, Ronaldo will never get.
For me, it was over as soon as what year was that? 2013, 2014, whatever year Messi got 92 goals. in 1 year.
91.
2012. Yeah.
91 goals in I mean, shattering Pele's record. Not even to count his assists, which he is I think fair to say more well-rounded than Ronaldo is when it comes to his overall game. So the World Cup puts it over the top. I've always been a Messi guy myself. I think it is pretty close over, especially since both of these guys aren't really doing anything anymore. I mean, he's trying to score an Olympic goal every weekend.
Whoa.
And Ronaldo's living for like just $1 million a second. So I don't know.
Whoa.
I would say it is.
Why you lowballing Ronaldo like that?
Let's be honest.
Hey, we don't pocket watch. Hold on. We don't pocket watch.
No bag checks. I think it's still, alive, as Flag says, just because how adamant the fan bases are that their GOAT is the GOAT. It's become ridiculous because it's so prized that some sides won't even recognize that the other's a good player. I think they're just trolling, as Nick falls bait to all the time. But there's probably some fans who just absolutely despise the other one because they love their idol so much. Messi's got the most complete football career ever. He's done it all. He's won everything. Ronaldo still has some records that Messi won't touch. I mean, his Champions League goal scoring record's insane. He won 5 Champions League. His amount of hat tricks, and there's not much to separate the two. And honestly, I won't be that surprised if in 2026 we see 42-year-old Ronaldo step out on the field for Portugal for one last hurrah. So
The
World Cup,
surprised at all.
yeah, it's still technically alive until he decides to hang it up, which won't be anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah, I do think that the Euro that Portugal won with Ronaldo is a huge piece for his legacy because Portugal, in terms of their size of a nation and what they've been able to do, what Ronaldo led them to while he was in his prime and when he was really leading them, even from a young age, they got a lot farther in all their international tournaments, got to the World Cups that they had not before. And so, huge for him. Both of them are just insanely, insanely good and people that we will never see again. I will say, watching Mbappe, he is different gravy as well. Not
Careful.
obviously this level, but I am saying
Careful.
listen. I'm not saying he is their level, but I'm saying that football with them kind of diminishing, going to their smaller leagues. Football is in some good hands with Kylian Mbappe. He is insane. And the speed he has, holy shit, this man is like turning up the game sliders. He like stops with a defender right there on him, 5 feet in front of him, and he still beats him to the end line with only like 6 yards. It's absolutely insane what he does, and just scores nonstop. So, and obviously Erling Haaland
He
be the other side of that, I feel like, debate at this moment.
He is the Henry predecessor, but next guy. He is not at these guys' level.
No, but he is insane. He is.
I
Fun
saw
to
that
watch.
one today, the debate between Henry and Mbappe, which is a crazy one to have because Mbappe is still so young. But I think Mbappe is going to turn out to be quite a bit more prolific than Henry was in his career. No disrespect to Henry, but just pure killer instinct as a goal scorer. Mbappe looks like he could have a Ronaldo transition at some point in his career and
Nick
become
is
just a
fucking
certified
holding his
bag man.
tongue, bro.
Hold on.
Let's see.
Let's pause.
Hey, is that crazy for him to say that Mbappe could have a better career than Thierry Henry? He is already.
No, but he said
one of
quite a bit more.
Just in being prolific as a goal scorer.
Listen, dude. Talk to me when you're doing
I'm
it
not-
in the Prem and for Barcelona, and then we can have a real conversation.
I'm not taking away from Henry, but when he went to Barcelona, he had to
You
become an
currently are
auxiliary
taking away
player
from.
to other.
I don't-
He had to fit in. Mbappe's going to
For
be the
Mike's
main
defense,
man.
I do not think it is at all a dig at Henry to say that Mbappe can be better than him. I think it's just showing how damn good Mbappe is because he is going to. He could have already had 2 World Cup trophies. He had a World Cup or a hat trick in the World Cup final against Messi. He could have had 2 World Cups, and he could have had a hat trick in one of them. He's going to win everything and then some with Real Madrid. I mean, his legacy is going to be up there.
If you want to say that he'll eventually have a better career than Henry, I can't tell you the answer to that. He definitely has the talent for it. To say quite a bit, let's relax.
Dude, I did not say quite a bit better career.
You said quite a bit.
I said in his prolificacy as a goal scorer. I'm not saying that
Henry in his younger days was the exact same pacey winger that he was, and then shifted further to the center. Don't act like this is Mbappe mimicking Ronaldo. This is Mbappe mimicking the king.
Which king?
All right. We'll see this play out. With
we're not going to get to this in this one. We can do next Tuesday if you want, but fuck you.
Okay. Nick, I think it is a little wild.
Now you got me heated. Shut up. Shut up. Go to Mike so he can misquote and misrepresent the Jewish culture and then tell us about who died. Let him wrap up the pod. Come on. This motherfucker.
All right, Mike, I'm going to need you to wrap this up quick before Nick just absolutely ruins the reputation of our pod here.
All the love and respect to King TT. Still the best player in Premier League history in my eyes.
Rest in peace to King TT and Kate Abdo.
Yeah. For all those fans out there, flags included, of CBS Golasso, sorry, guys. She's getting married to another man.
The dream's over.
It's over. But Mike is still on the market, so for all those ladies out there. Great pod, boys. Pleasure being on here. I love the Mbappe Henry debate, even though it's way too early to decide. We'll revisit this in the future, I'm sure.
Trust me, I'm gonna come with fucking numbers on. We'll revisit in the near future. Don't you sweat.
Bro, Vinny's gonna be in the comments fucking typing.
Before Nick has a aneurysm and a blood vessel burst in his brain talking about TT versus Mbappe, we will let you guys go. Let us know in the comments what you think of the Mbappe TT debate. What you think is going to happen with Manchester City, Liverpool. Will Arsenal potentially take the top of the table? And is Manchester United versus Everton going to be the grossest game of football you've ever seen? Potentially. Until next time, though, we have been Footy with the boys. Peace.
Big up the Gunners.